started after the post on Facebook of my friend and colleague from my online newspaper who invited people to come to main square called Maidan in November last year, and people came, and after that revolution started. Now we have 41% of Ukrainians who use internet as a source of information and a source of news. Of course, the role of television is much higher. It's about 91%. So, internet is the second source for information for Ukrainians. And now, internet is a very important source as well, because people continue to follow the news about the military operation in the eastern regions of Ukraine. And in fact, the internet plays at least 3 roles now in Ukraine. First is regular informing of people. Second role is mobilization. And yesterday night, a few hundred Ukrainians came to the office of Ukrainian president to push him to start military operation in eastern part of Ukraine, and it was done by using social media. And third role is keeping Ukrainian officials under control through internet, through social media, and I even have this T-shirt with a project started a few months ago on our website. When Ukraine, okay, it means access to information. A few months ago, our website started a platform to send a request for Ukrainian officials in government and in local administration, and you can just fill the special form on our website. And the result is not very impressive since we started to now. It's about 1,500 requests were sent, but we hope that this platform will be used later, and social media and internet will play an important role in the future.
If you look back and see the time and the effort to invest it, what was the most important, the most striking, and most memorable success you had in your cyber activism campaign?
We used to have few media and social media campaigns. One of them was to adopt this access to information law. It was in the year 2011, and even when Yanukovych was president, we adopted this law, just pushing MPs, pushing society, NGOs to support this law, and the result was very successful in the sense that this law was adopted, but it was not implemented very well since that time until now, and we hope that the situation will be changed, and there are another examples, and if you ask the most impressive example, of course, Meinardus was the result of social media campaign, because during last year, before the Maidan, the situation was not very optimistic in Ukraine, because there were a lot of DDoS attacks against our website. We have only an online platform, we don't have print version. And the government started to push online media. They created this fake websites, fake newspaper with our logo, and they started to discredit us. But after that, Maidan happened, and Maidan was a reaction to attempts of the government to repress democracy in Ukraine.
So again, we are seeing a certain parallelism of events. We are seeing activism in the social media, and then we are seeing uprising and mobilizations, and in the end also bringing down of corrupted and authoritarian governments. Have you, as Ukrainian Democrats, have you had an exchange with fellow social media activists in other countries? I remember in Egypt there were seminars led by Serbian activists, supported also by international democracy foundations and the like. We were also part of this little as Naumann Foundation. Have you had interaction with others, non-European or non-Ukrainian activists?
Me personally, I was attending a few programs, but in the United States, and after that it was Russian propaganda and previous government who said that United States are behind the revolutions on Middle East and Ukraine. It's not true because I think United States made they played their role by creating social media in the world, and Facebook, Twitter were created there, and some events all over the world are the result of this social media.
I want to change a little the direction of the debate and take it into the direction of away from that social media is always on the side of the good guys. Just like civil society per se is always the good guys. And I want to ask Aymann the question whether there's evidence or to what extent also the bad guys, in this sense the authoritarian governments, use social media as a counterweight to the emancipative efforts of democratic, liberal and other side activists.
Clearly, it's a tool open for everybody. I won't go into good guys and bad guys, but for example, the Syrian Electronic Army, which is so much connected to the Syrian regime, not only does it use very advanced hacking techniques to attack activists on social media, to attack websites that do not echo the propaganda of the regime, but they are also extremely present in trolling, they also other people's accounts. They are also mastering the use of YouTube in terms of spreading videos. Other bad guys clearly are the radical Islamists who are now wreaking havoc in Iraq, Syria, with also a very robust use of social media in order to target their specific audience, in order to instill fear instead of instilling hope. So it's happening. But in general, also governments are using social media not only for bad things. For example, one of the most successful use of social media in Lebanon right now, all participants included, all users included, is the traffic management center of the police to inform people about traffic jams all over the country, bad driving, and measures taken against policemen who are not necessarily doing their job in regulating the flow of traffic, etc. So there is such a wide scope of all potential users, from government, criminal actors, civil society actors, democratic actors, and enterprises engaging here. And it's actually now more of a challenge in order to know how to engage with everyone, how to protect the freedom of expression of everyone, and at the same time, everything is happening in the total absence of any kind of legal framework. I'm definitely not calling for the regulation in terms of putting limits to freedom of expression. However, like everything happening, it leads, for example, to disputes. Libel, slander, defamation cases, or intellectual property disputes related to things that are posted online. And there is a total absence of legal framework, which is also bringing judges to deal with it based on completely antiquated laws that have nothing to do with the social media era. And this is yet another challenge that we might discuss a little further.
The foundation is active in.
That's one of the main things we are doing, and we're actually here. It's an open call for those of you who have any experience to communicate with us. We're conducting very deep research into libel, slander, and defamation cases. We know it exists for print press, for TV, but what are the experiences that you guys are facing in your countries when it comes to online? How are judges dealing with the situation? How are legislators dealing with the situation? Please contact us through our Twitter account at @SK_EYES. The same thing applies to campaigning around elections using social media. As we know, in many countries we have media regulations that allow, for example, for equal access to the media, or impose some kind of silence a few days before the election day, or some other regulations related to media. How does it apply online? It's a complete legal vacuum in our area of the world. So in case you have also any experience, you're most welcome to engaging with us, and we'll be very happy to work together.
Maybe I would like to second this. Samir Kassir Foundation is a very respectable institute based in Lebanon, and this is also seen at the fact that you get generous support also from the European Union and other international donors. So, yes, please. Yes.
I would like to add about the bad guys who use social media. Now we have war with Russia on the east side of Ukraine, and we can see a lot of examples when Russian and pro-Russian so-called activists produce, I think, tons of fake information on social media. They post photos from Libya, from Yugoslavia, from Baghdad, and they say that it is movement against this in Ukraine, the project called Stop Fake. These people are focused on disclosure, the fake information of Russian propagandists, and they found a lot of examples where just videos even from Bosnia or from Iran or from Afghanistan was used as illustration for Ukraine, and this information was published very, very widely in the Russian internet and even in Ukrainian internet as well.
Esraa, how is the situation in Egypt? There was this flourishing of the social media. She has no microphone, and now you have a new government, which in the best of all cases you would call controversial. What are they doing regarding these social media activists and their activities? I know they're using it. When I lived in Cairo, we would get the most important updated news from the military council then via Facebook, and it was the most important source to get the SCAF news by looking at the website and the Facebook. How is it now? What is the government doing regarding these?
I think the activists in Egypt make, if we suffer from, that is before the revolution or during the revolution, a total ignorance from the government about what we are voting and what we are posting in our website. We find now that the SCAF and the minister and even the president have their own pages and have their own Twitter accounts, and they posted when they found that there is a campaign against a statement from the president or a statement from the SCAF. We find that they post their statement in favor to reply for the activists what you are saying are wrong, and this is our statement to make interaction. And so the government transfer, I think this is the power of the activists and the power of social media in Egypt, which make the government and the country transfer from totally ignorance to interaction with the people inside, and to try to talk with them and to try to post from their side to post their reaction about what the activists said. And now we find that the social media, or I think now the more important methods the activists using in Egypt is, as I said, is hashtags. We have like wars, hashtag wars. We said like who are supporting someone and who are against someone. There is a war between them, and we find, unfortunately, that is which is very successful in social media is not successful on the ground. When we find that is during the election time, we find that is the hashtag of Hamdin Sabahi, who are running against the Sisi, very, very high and a trend on social media. And when we find that the results of election, we find him takes 3 percentages from the voter. So we find sometimes that is what happened in social media is totally different and totally unrealistic about what happened in, sometimes happened about what happened on the ground. But now also the activist uses this hashtag to make pressure on the government to try to change some, for them it's a wrong decision from the government, try to face corruption. We have a lot of cases, and the last case about the harassment, sexual harassment in Egypt, we find that the activists come to the street to record what happened in the street and post it on Facebook and Twitter and create a hashtag against this harassment and to call the government to issue a law of harassment. And this is happened now, and if we can talk about an example of sustained democracy, we can take this example. We have now the people or the activists of the social media make a pressure on the government